Has Jarren Duran finally arrived for the Boston Red Sox?
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Red Sox. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, and on today's show, should a struggling Red Sox third baseman eventually get sent down to Worcester? A player who unexpectedly goes off last night, and a player who may have finally just arrived. So last night's Red Sox game was fun, for lack of a better word. I mean, the Red Sox bats showed up. A few guys had very strong games, and this was a game that they really needed, and a series that they really needed, because by winning the game last night, they then clinched the series against the Kansas City Royals. And granted, the Royals aren't a super competitive team. They're 20-29 now after the loss last night, and the Red Sox are now 21-27 on the season. So it's not like the Red Sox are a significantly better team than the Kansas City Royals, at least based on how they've played up to this point. But these are the types of series you need to win. The series where you feel like it's within reach, where there's a team that you're facing that either is at the same level as you or arguably worse than you. And as soon as they start to pull together wins in those series, that is exactly how they can turn the season around. So they were able to pull this off with a big night offensively last night, scoring 7 runs in a 7-1 victory, 15 hits as a team. I mean, this team was rolling when it came to guys just getting on base, and they were certainly taking advantage. They went 6 for 14 in this game with runners in scoring position, which is vastly better than what we've seen from them a lot this season. They still stranded 7 on base, but they were actually capitalizing with guys on this time and driving in runs. It was a great sight to see. And one player who had a big game last night was Jarren Duran, who hit a massive 3-run home run in the 9th inning to give the Red Sox some much needed insurance in this game, because for a while, this was a tight game, 2-1. All the way up until the 8th inning, because there wasn't a lot of scoring earlier on in the game. In the first inning, the Red Sox were able to put a run on the board, and then in the second inning, they did it again with RBI singles, but then not really anything till later. And then in the 8th inning, Wilson Contreras grounded out to third to drive in a run, but then they exploded for 4 runs in the top of the 9th. And Jarren Duran's 3-run homer got it from a 3-1 lead to a 6-1 lead. And anytime Aroldis Chapman's warming up and can sit back down on the bench without having to be used, that's a win. So Jarren Duran said, "We don't need you, Chappie, tonight. I got you." And that was huge, because Jarren Duran is a player who has been struggling to get the bat going this season for the Boston Red Sox. He has a 189 average, a 262 on base percentage, and 331 slugging percentage on the season. So he really just has been struggling to make good contact. And it's tough because Jarren Duran is such an athletic and versatile player that if he's able to make contact and gets himself on base, he can make things happen with his aggressive base running. And we've seen a lot of that come into play from him throughout the course of his Red Sox career. He can use his speed to his advantage, but if he's not getting on base, then they're missing out on a whole skill set that he has that he can provide. But he did go 2 for 3 in the game last night, scored 2 runs himself, drove in 3 on that home run, and also took 2 walks. So it was a good night overall for Duran at the plate, because he was able to just get on base a lot. And that's exactly what we need to see from him, just him constantly getting on base and finding ways to be aggressive and make an impact. And it was great to see that last night. And not only did he do it with his bat, but he also did it with his glove as well. He pretty much did it all. So after he created that breathing room by launching the 3-run homer in the top of the 9th, it was like, all right, it's very unlikely that the Royals are going to come back in this game. And that was a great feeling. But on top of the fact that it capped his 2 for 3 night, that also included 2 walks, a double, and a stolen base. He also made an impact another way too. The stolen base is regular for Duran. That's a pretty common occurrence. But defensively, he also had an absolute gem of a game as well. He made a really sweet diving catch on a sinking liner in the second inning. And then also came through with what you could argue might have been the biggest play of the game in the 6th inning. So with the Red Sox clinging to a 2-1 lead at the time, he raced back and outstretched his glove arm fully and made a phenomenal leaping catch off the bat of Salvador Perez to end the inning and prevent the Royals from tying the game. That not only physically stopped them from scoring a run, but from a momentum perspective, that drastically could have kept the Red Sox in it, because if the Royals score there and they tie the game, then the momentum's on their side, and you don't really know how the rest of the game's going to progress after that. But keeping the momentum with the Red Sox in that moment was huge. So thanks to Duran twice, 2 great defensive plays. And unlike in recent games, too, the Red Sox were able to add on, because we've seen some really tight games that they've played lately because they would have a tight lead, but then they weren't able to score more runs to capitalize on that. Whereas finally in last night's game, they were able to make us a little bit more comfortable in this game, which was nice. The pitching was also fantastic in this game. Another good outing from Ranger Suarez overall. I mean, he didn't last insanely long. He threw 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So it wasn't like he was completely untouchable, but he definitely was effective in the innings that he did pitch in. He is still on a bit of a pitch limit at this time because of the fact that he's still recovering from his injury. So that's why it feels like he was pulled when his pitch count was on the lower side, because they are still trying to ease him back into it and monitor him. But really like what I've seen from Ranger Suarez a lot this season, but Jarren Duran truly deserves a lot of credit for what he did in this game. Now, here's why this is so notable, because Jarren Duran is the leadoff hitter, and you need to have a guy in the leadoff spot who's able to make things happen and get on base. Because if he can get on base and the guy after you is a really effective hitter, that's a good chance for you to put pressure on the opposing pitcher immediately and get some runs on the board right away. In last night's game, Cedar Rafaela was hitting in the 2-hole. The Red Sox have kind of experimented with that spot all season long. And then Wilyer Abreu and Wilson Contreras in the 3 and 4 spots, respectively, after that. But Jarren Duran being in the leadoff spot, that's such an important role, because that is the player who's going to get your offense going. So if Duran's hitting consistently in the leadoff spot, that will really get the rest of the offense going, because then you could get Wilyer Abreu up in the 3-hole, who's one of the hottest hitters on the team. And if Jarren Duran gets on in that leadoff spot, then you're looking at a lot better place for Wilyer Abreu to do immediate damage, as opposed to having Duran record an out every time, and then Abreu's maybe coming up with the bases empty in the 3-hole, a guy who's able to maximize the opportunities with runners on base. And it just doesn't look as nearly as much like an opportunity. So that's why it's so important for Jarren Duran to be hitting. And entering the day, he was slashing 181 with a 247 on-base percentage and 301 slugging percentage, with a 548 OPS, 4 homers, 19 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, 8 doubles, and 19 runs scored over 42 games played. And one of the biggest reasons why there was so much pressure on Jarren Duran in particular is because the Red Sox banked a lot on him coming into this year and returning to 2024 form. They had the opportunity to trade him this offseason. They did not. They had teams that were interested in Duran. The Red Sox chose to keep him. So them choosing to keep him was then sending a message of, we still believe in him. And when he wasn't performing up to expectations, that was when there were alarms going off in people's heads, because they were like, well, did they miss their best opportunity to trade him? Now, the thing with Jarren Duran is he has dealt with a lot of off-field stuff over the last few seasons, and I think that's important to note here too, because it has really dipped his confidence a lot. And sometimes for a player, a change of scenery ends up being for the best for a player, especially playing in a place like Boston where there's a lot of external pressure. If you're not performing, you are going to get roasted for it, and not every player can handle that. And for Jarren Duran to get back on track with where he was at in 2024, maybe being part of the Boston Red Sox isn't exactly the best way for him to restore himself to that form. And the question now is, was what he did in last night's game a fluke, or is he going to continue to hit a little bit better? Because the biggest thing that I'm noticing with Jarren Duran is that there's a lot of inconsistency. He'll maybe get a couple hits in a game, but then he'll kind of go silent again the next game. But the difference was in this game, he not only made an impact at the plate, but he also made a massive impact defensively, truly showcasing the versatility of that player. And with the stolen base as well, he really put everything on display in terms of what I've been preaching is really good about Jarren Duran's game, is the fact that he can do multiple things and he has the ability to be a threat in a lot of different areas. And he was able to showcase all of that in last night's game. So the biggest challenge for him moving forward is going to be, can he carry that over moving forward into the rest of the season? Or is this going to be a situation where he continues to be up and down? But what we saw from him last night was a glimpse into the player that the Red Sox were hoping to get this season. And we see what happens when he's hitting. The Red Sox exploded for 7 runs in this game. When Jarren Duran is hitting, he's setting the tone for the rest of the lineup. This is a guy who's hitting in the leadoff spot who, if he can get on base, can steal a base right away because he is going to always be a threat to steal. That's going to make a pitcher uneasy right from the get-go. So having a big game from Jarren Duran was key, but the question now is going to be, can he continue to provide that same level of value moving forward? Because the Red Sox are really going to need that from him if he's going to continue to be their leadoff hitter moving forward. So big game from him, which I love to see. And coming up, another unexpected player had a big game last night as well. With the NBA playoffs in full swing, every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. Last night, if you took the Knicks money line when they were down by 20 points, that payout was probably massive because they had less than a 1% chance to win that game when they were down by 20 points with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You can win lots of money if you are willing to take those types of chances. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Talk about a crazy game. I mean, that was just pretty crazy. And if you're looking to also get crazy when it comes to your flavors, check out 5 Hour Energy, because if you have a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why Cotton Candy 5 Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic cotton candy taste you remember, but with a tasty caffeine boost and 0 sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. I've always loved cotton candy, but I know I can't be eating sweets all day, so this to me is a perfect alternative. The flavor really does bring that throwback, fruity, vanilla vibe, and it's surprisingly smooth. So bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5 Hour Energy Shots. Available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. If you purchase some of these, you're going to get addicted quickly, but it's a way to make you feel like you're still getting that sweet taste without necessarily having to eat sweets. So I highly recommend it. Also, don't forget to check out the Locked On MLB Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with me as well as other listeners of Locked On Red Sox. Tap the link in the show notes or go to lockedonredsox.supercast.com to learn more. Lots of perks with this subscription, like a subscriber club where you can talk in a group chat. So make sure you check it out today. I would like to see the Red Sox win games more consistently, like we saw from them in this series against the Royals. 2 different games so far in this series, with the first game being a little bit tighter, and then the second game being a game in which the Red Sox were just swinging the bats and they were scoring guys. And this is something we don't see a lot of with this team. And it's something that gets me really frustrated, is their inability to just move guys over. And that's a lot of what we saw in this game. Guys were getting on base, guys were making contact, and the Red Sox were able to move guys over. And granted, it wasn't for the full game that this was an effective strategy. I mean, they did have a bases loaded situation where they stranded that opportunity. So we still saw a little bit of that, but late in this game, they had base runners on and they were capitalizing. And that's exactly what we need to see more of. And one player in this game who surprisingly had a big game for this Red Sox team last night was IKF. He was playing shortstop for the Red Sox and also batting 8th. And the reason why he was even in the lineup to begin with was because there was a left-handed pitcher on the mound for the Royals in Bailey Falter. And the reason that the Red Sox wanted to utilize IKF in the lineup is because he generally has good numbers against left-handed pitchers. And we've seen Marcelo Meyer be put in a platoon situation before with IKF at second base. But in this case, it was shortstop due to Trevor Story and him being injured and more guys getting opportunities basically in these games. So Caleb Durbin was still playing third base, Nick Sogard was playing second, and IKF was playing shortstop. So we're still kind of seeing this platoon situation with Meyer, but going with IKF ended up being a good choice for the Red Sox last night. He ended up going 3 for 3 in this game with a run scored. So a big game for him. He also took a walk in this game. So he was on base 4 times. His average is now up to a 267 with a 327 on base percentage and 289 slugging percentage. And people aren't really talking about it because that's a pretty sneaky 267 average. People are always talking about, well, IKF's pretty useless. And well, his numbers with runners in scoring position aren't necessarily great. He is hitting when he's up there and he's in the lineup. And the Red Sox, when it comes to this Marcelo Meyer situation and talking about how they want to get IKF in these games when there's left-handed pitchers throwing and maybe continuing to platoon Marcelo Meyer, last night's game and IKF going off doesn't exactly help Marcelo's case for going into these games more when there's a lefty on the mound. So the Red Sox, in seeing what IKF did last night, if anything, are going to be more encouraged by that and are going to continue to say, okay, obviously the platoon situation is a good idea, so we could keep things going the way that they are. And when the other team's starting a righty, we put Marcelo in. And when the other team's starting a lefty, we put IKF in. I would not be surprised to see things continue to go like that. But the question is, how long is IKF's leash? Because the Red Sox have Romy Gonzalez, who's on the injured list right now, but is working his way back. And it's a really good indicator, since he's making progress, that he will likely be coming back at some point soon. And when the Red Sox signed IKF, there was a lot of confusion around the league and also among the fan base as to why they were making that move. It was a 1-year, $6 million contract, and a lot of that to me felt like he was a temporary Romy Gonzalez replacement, because Romy Gonzalez is a lefty killer. I mean, that guy puts up great numbers against left-handed pitching, and because the Red Sox lost Rob Refsnyder in the offseason, they weren't really interested in bringing him back, but he was their key bat against lefties last year, so they didn't have him anymore. And with Romy injured, I think they felt like they needed to get a bat in there who has a history of hitting well against left-handed pitching, and that ultimately was why they brought in IKF. But the question now becomes, when it comes time for Romy Gonzalez to come back from the injured list, are the Red Sox going to no longer have a spot for IKF on this team. IKF is a veteran presence in a young clubhouse, so that's definitely something that he provides that I think the Red Sox were definitely intrigued by, especially after the fact that they missed out on Alex Bregman when he decided to take that deal with the Cubs. You can't really find a leader as good as Alex Bregman. I mean, so many people were raving about him and the type of leadership that he brought to this team when he was here last year. So that just kind of is what it is. You're not really going to get Alex Bregman 2.0, but you can try to bring in veterans who are known to be good leaders to help out in this clubhouse. And that's certainly something that IKF brings. But on the field, the Red Sox have to decide, okay, is his performance good enough to where it makes sense to justify keeping him around? Because even heading into this game for the Red Sox, he was slashing closer to 200 for his batting average, and he obviously jumped that up a lot in the game last night when he went 3 for 3. Overall, he's hitting, like I said, more than people are making it out to be, but the question becomes, how consistent is he truly to the point where it makes sense to cut out some at-bats for Romy Gonzalez when he comes back? Now, again, with Romy, people have to keep in mind that he's missed a good amount of time, so he's going to need time to ease back into things, but he was one of the Red Sox most important bats last year, especially late in the season, so they're going to want to get Romy back into the fold, and Romy has always been a platoon infielder for this team. He's a guy who's kind of floated around and played where the Red Sox needed him to play. So when he comes back, is he just going to basically take over IKF's spot? Because even with IKF's ability to find a way to keep his batting average at a respectable rate right now, especially because of his night last night, he is striking out 18.2% of the time, which is notable. So he's not striking out at an insanely high rate, but he's only walking at a 6.8% rate. His chase rate is 45%. So it feels like IKF is closer to automatic out territory than Romy Gonzalez may be when he comes back. And I definitely don't feel like IKF is necessarily an automatic out every time. He has his moments for sure, and last night was a big game from him, and he made a statement last night of, hey, you kind of need me, especially against lefties, which, like I said, isn't great for Marcelo Meyer's case if he wants to get more reps against lefties, but this is when the Red Sox are going to be questioning, okay, what exactly do we do when it comes time to bring back Romy? Because we IKF still here. What does that mean? Because with IKF there, if he's rotating between shortstop and second base a lot of the time, then where is Romy going to play? So that's where the question becomes, does it make sense to keep IKF around even as a bench piece that maybe comes in sometimes to pinch run or pinch hit late in a game? Does it make sense in that regard just to have his clubhouse leadership presence around? Would they DFA him as a corresponding move when they bring back Romy Gonzalez because he's basically the guy filling Romy's role right now? That to me is what they need to decide, is what avenue they want to take when it comes to that. Now, Romy has resumed baseball activities, so it's not like he's going to be coming back tomorrow, because the next likely step after that would be him doing a rehab assignment with one of the minor league teams prior to him coming back. So there are still a couple steps before he actually comes back and is able to contribute to the Boston Red Sox at the major league level. So for now, it makes sense to keep IKF in the mix for that and keep putting him into spots where they're going to be able to maximize him. And with a left-handed pitcher on the mound, that's exactly the types of moments that you want to put IKF in for. But we could be seeing the leash cut short a little bit on IKF once the Red Sox decide, okay, we're ready to activate Romy. He's feeling good. He's ready to come back, because with IKF at second base, we could put Romy there when Marcelo's not playing, or we could put Romy at shortstop until Trevor Story comes back. So as much as IKF hasn't been as bad as I feel people might be making it out to be. There's just not a lot of consistency there overall when it comes to his time at the plate. Now, defensively, he plays a sound defense and he's a good base stealer, which is why they do use him as a pinch runner sometimes. So there is value there. But the Red Sox have a lot of speed in this lineup. So by replacing IKF with Romy, they're not really losing a lot of value in that regard. So we'll have to see how that plays out when Romy comes back. But speaking of players who might be on a tight leash, is Caleb Durbin at risk of being sent down to Worcester? Baseball's full of routines and superstitions, rally caps, lucky jerseys, all of it. And honestly, it can be the same when it comes to products for hair thinning too. A lot of hype, not always a lot of confidence behind it. That's why there's Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand and the official hair growth partner of Major League Baseball. Here's what stood out to me. I like how Nutrafol takes a more personalized approach with formulas designed for different stages and needs. It's physician formulated, clinically tested, and NSF certified for sport. And adding it into a routine is easy. Just 4 capsules daily with a meal. Nutrafol is one of those small routines that really helps build confidence. Find out why Nutrafol is the only hair growth supplement brand trusted by MLB. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Nutrafol definitely is great, and I highly, highly recommend it. So again, that's Nutrafol.com and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure you check that out. Also check out the Everydayer Club, the all access tier. You can get one-on-one texting with me directly to get your Red Sox related questions answered. And you can get all access content that you won't find anywhere else. So make sure you check that out and hit that subscribe button. Are the Red Sox turning the season around? Can't say right now. They did win a series, though, and that's awesome. That's a good step in the right direction. And while the Royals aren't exactly this big threat in the American League, the Red Sox, as of right now, are only a game and a half out of the final wildcard spot in the AL at 21-27. If you can believe that. I mean, there is a chance that the Red Sox finish the season with not the best record, but could still be in the playoffs because the American League in general has been very average at best. Generally, a lot of these teams are playing 500 ball or worse right now, so it's keeping the Red Sox in the mix, and that's a nice thing to think about as this team continues to struggle overall. But good win for the team last night, good series win for this team, and one player who recorded a hit in this game was Caleb Durbin, who was batting in the 9 spot and playing third base. He went 1 for 3 with a strikeout and now has a 169 average, 248 on base percentage, and 246 slugging. And then Mickey Gasper came into the game late to pinch hit for him and got a hit. And then Marcelo Meyer came in after that to pinch run and went in to play second base. So lots of moving parts there when it comes to Caleb Durbin and that 9 hole. He's been struggling at the plate. There's really no getting around it. It just is what it is. However, he deserves a lot of credit for his defense because his defense has been as advertised in the Red Sox infield. And Craig Breslow highlighted during the offseason that run prevention was his biggest thing that he wanted to focus on with this team this year. And infield defense for the Red Sox last year in general was not very good. So for him wanting to prioritize the infield defense, it makes sense why he was intrigued by Caleb Durbin because his defensive numbers were definitely there. So in that regard, he's been performing. Offensively, he hasn't really. And for a couple games, he sat on the bench while Nick Sogard started in his place. So for the second consecutive game the other day, Chad Tracy started Nick Sogard at third base over Durbin, and Sogard had been recalled in place of Trevor Story when he was placed on the injured list. So on Sunday and Monday, Sogard got the nod at third instead of Durbin. And Chad Tracy explained that and said, I think for now we're doing everything we can to make sure we get some offense out there. I know Durb's been struggling, but Sogi took 2 really good at-bats yesterday in Atlanta. Sogard actually knocked in Boston's only run with an RBI double to right field in the 8-1 loss to the Braves on Sunday. So he has been hitting it, and Chad Tracy said, so just trying to get quality in there and see. It doesn't mean Durb's not going to play. Just for right now, we're going to do that right now. And Chad Tracy did make sure to emphasize it might not necessarily be a permanent thing. He said, I don't think it means it's a permanent Sogi's taking over at third. I think you'll still see Durbin. I just think that on given days, if we see a matchup we like and Sogi's part of it, we'll use him. But we're searching for runs, trying to get runs. Tracy also said it could be helpful to give Durbin multiple consecutive days off just to kind of get his head right and get himself back on track. He said, I think that's part of it too. It's not a secret that he's going through it. He's working his butt off. Early hit the other day, early hit again today. He's working really hard with Hetz, the interim hitting coach, Colin Hetzler, trying to get it right. So I think in the midst of trying to get Sogi in there and getting him involved, also giving Durbin just a couple days to take a break is important too. So essentially, Chad Tracy said, we're not getting enough offense from Caleb Durbin. And so far what we've seen from Nick Sogard has been good. So we're going to keep playing him. He found a way to get them both into the lineup in last night's game. And Caleb Durbin also did end up being able to get a big hit that drove in a run, which was a huge moment for him. But the question now becomes, what do they do with Caleb Durbin? Because they're getting more right now from Mickey Gasper, Nick Sogard, Andrew Monasterio. I mean, those are guys who are kind of platoon guys, not necessarily everyday players, but they're all giving the Red Sox right now more offensively than what Caleb Durbin is giving them. So what's going to happen when Roman Anthony comes back and he's healthy? If Mickey Gasper continues to ball out the way that he is, would they want to keep him up? Would they want to send Durbin down to Worcester just to gain some more confidence again? Would they want to send Nick Sogard back down if he's been somebody who's been contributing at a high level for a while? Monasterio feels like a guy they're going to keep around anyway because he definitely has good splits against left-handed pitching as well. And he's a good player to just kind of put anywhere in the infield. So it really comes down to when Roman is eventually healthy, is it going to be Gasper, Sogard, Durbin, or somebody else that gets sent down? And to me, it feels like Durbin is on the chopping block a little bit unless he turns things around a little offensively, because this is a guy who sporadically has started to seemingly figure things out piece by piece on offense, but he still hasn't been able to put it all together. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to be able to put it all together, primarily due to the fact that other guys are performing and he's just not. So he needs to start hitting at a higher level. But as far as his defense goes, he definitely is giving the Red Sox a lot of what they need defensively at third base. So I give him props for that. I just hope that from a confidence perspective, he's able to get that going so that he can contribute in the way that this Red Sox team is hoping that he will. So going to be interesting to see some of these moves that they might make with the roster here as guys hopefully start getting healthier. But thanks so much as always for tuning in to Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of every single day. Make sure you keep tuning in Monday through Friday. Later in the week, I'm going to be having a former Red Sox reliever on the show, so you won't want to miss that. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Red Sox on any podcast platform so you get all of the latest episodes. Plus, you can find me on social media too. I am on Twitter at Gabby Maljanian or on Instagram at Gabby_Maljanian10. You can also find the show's account on Twitter at LO_Red Sox. Make sure that you follow me there. Plus, if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Red Sox ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnRedSox.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, now I send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, for your second listen, go check out Locked On MLB. Thanks so much as always. Keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.